Now finally, at long last, we're starting to see prices recover. Now why is this happening? Well, it's happening for a couple different reasons. One, obviously, we can see when prices decrease 30-40%, a 5% recovery is not too unexpected to see. But more importantly, I want to focus in on what happened last year. That's because last year we saw an unnecessary hype, and that unnecessary hype was the CS 10-year anniversary, or specifically CSGO. And when this hype came out, people thought we were going to see something major, so prices increased, and when we didn't see anything major, prices decreased and stagnated, and actually stagnated or decreased up until November 30th, which is exactly what we're starting to see this year. Obviously, we had the CS2 hype, which brought prices up quite significantly, and even though they did go ahead and increase for a short period, they started to decrease and stagnate for quite a long time up until now.
SkinSwap is today's sponsor, and they're also sponsoring you with a free bonus for signing up with the first link in the description. They're the premier place for CSGO and Rust skins, with a massive trading site and a top-of-the-line marketplace, offering you the most competitive rates out there and a massive 40% bonus when you're using that link in the description. Combine that with their top-of-the-line selling feature with many payout options, and their trading feature legitimately taking you just about a minute, and there's no reason not to sign up with that first link in the description.
Now, focusing in on that previous trend, why is something like this good? Well, it's actually good in the current moment because it means theoretically we're on a path for recovery, or success rather. It's hard to say specifically because last year was a little bit different than what we saw this year. Last year was just purely hype, whereas this year we saw the CS2 release, we saw a lot of dynamics change, so it's very hard to see if trends are going to carry over one-to-one. But I will say personally, it does look like the long term from the future right now is looking quite profitable and quite advantageous for people that are looking to buy right now, but that's obviously your decision. Now, focusing in on the skins market, we're starting to see a little bit of an opposite effect. That's because obviously right now we have the autumn sale going on, or rather it's finished by the time you're watching this video, but we can see the price impacts did not finish because we can see a significant amount of them are currently down a decent amount in the 5-day, or at least in the 1 month. We can see that the trend did not change of a lot of these skins going down. Now, for me personally, this is not too unexpected. Obviously, we know the skins market is one that's quite volatile to a lot of outside aspects, one specifically being that autumn sale, and therefore I wasn't too unexpected to see what we saw right here. We didn't think prices were going to recover overnight for this area, but I will say now that prices have hopefully bottomed out, if you do want to get some play skins, I would definitely look into this area rather than holding off for a longer period of time, but that's just my thoughts. Now, what's next for the market? Well, if we want to go back to that example we've been referring to, once we see the recovery from the autumn sale happen, it's usually not that great in the short term. That's because we can see a period of stagnation occurs during the month of December and January, at least last time it did, and that's partially just because we see a lack of content. People obviously want to play this game, but the game is not perfect, and although we have been receiving a significant amount of updates, this is last year's trend when we saw no new content coming into the game. Compare that to now when people still have not seen any new content when we're talking about an operation or a case in a significant amount of time, and I think it's probably going to be a very similar situation to what we saw last time, where the next couple of months we probably see a little bit of growth potentially, but more likely a stagnation overall. However, we obviously know there's got to be some sort of update on the horizon, whether that's today or next week. An operation or a brand new case definitely has to come out sometime soon, in my personal opinion. And with that being said, that raises the question of filler skins, because filler skins are the one opportunity that has consistently performed significantly above the market when it comes to a short-term period of an operation. Now, with that being said, I actually don't think it's worth it for you to go ahead and pick up some filler skins in this current moment. That's because of a couple different things. One, obviously with the new drop system, there's more filler skins out there, but I don't think anything is going to keep up with the demand for filler skins even in the short term here. We can see the price decreases a lot of them have seen over the past couple of months ever since this new drop system took place, and I don't think anything's going to change that. Therefore, they're probably going to keep on decreasing until we see that brand new update. Therefore, it would say more likely you're probably going to be in a better position if you can just get to that update earlier and pick up filler skins then, rather than trying to pick up some now, maybe see a 5 to 10 to 15% decrease before the operation or an update even comes out, and therefore you're already fighting a losing battle in the short term here. Unfortunately, I also think Paris is in a pretty dire situation. That's because we can obviously see what's been going on with these Paris capsules. They have lost a significant amount of their momentum, and this was our worry the whole time. The fact is, the Paris capsules succeeded in the short term because they had no competition, but now that the hype has left this area, even though there's no competition, they're still struggling. What's going to happen when we see an update come out that takes away all of the hype from this area? They still have a little demand right now, and therefore I think Paris capsules long term are in a very prosperous situation, but in the short term here, the fact that there's so much liquidity out there, I don't know if they can actually succeed in the short term in any situation unless we see something come out where they become so much more desirable, and that thing would have to be Copenhagen coming out with a border. I just don't see anything changing too much that would bring a ton of demand for Paris, and even the Paris stickers as well, that would go ahead and change the whole dynamic to allow them to succeed in the short term here. I love them long term, but in the short term, I don't think it's a great prosperous look for a lot of these capsules and stickers. case. Now focusing in on the case market, it's not too unexpected what we're seeing. If we want to look at the 1 month graph, a lot of them are down potentially 15-20%. This is not too unexpected considering a lot of this contains the decreasing portion of the past month. Now focusing in on the 5-day specifically, which is what I want to look at, a lot of them are starting to go stagnant, which is exactly what we expected when we're talking about what we were looking at previously. However, for me, what's interesting about this is if we look at the unboxing numbers, we can see that they're starting to slip once again. They were going from a pretty high number to now we're going roughly back to what we were seeing as an average during the lower months of the past year, around 20 to 25 million. Once again, not too unexpected when we're talking about the past year, but when we're talking about the short term in the CS2 release era, this is actually quite low. So the fact that we're seeing prices stagnate, at least in the 5-day, is a little bit interesting to me. Now, how can you not lose off of this major situation? Well, the first thing is if we do end up seeing a period of stagnation after this because we don't see any major updates, don't panic sell. I think a lot of people are going to get very nervous the fact that we're going to see potentially a 5 to 10% recovery and then prices stagnate for an extended period of time because there's no reason for them to go up. A lot of these prices are up quite significantly from a year ago, and people fail to realize that quite significantly than they really should. We see so many prices are up so much, and yet people just go ahead and disregard that, focus in on the past 6 months and say, yeah, prices are down because obviously we had that peak. I don't think that's something that you're going to specifically do, but it's definitely a possibility, and therefore it's something you do need to be made aware of. And honestly speaking, how to not lose too is going to be making sure you're actually picking up some sort of investments right now if that's what you want to do. A lot of these items are on a pretty significant discount, and I don't expect them to get a ton cheaper over the next upcoming months. They might remain the same price, but I really can't see too many of them decreasing in price other than something like the active duty cases or maybe the Bears capsules. A lot of cases that are in the rare are going to go ahead and just continue in their current trajectory. Same with any other good investments, and therefore it's not going to be in your benefit to go ahead and hold off much longer, in my personal opinion, just in case we do receive a pretty major update and that growth starts once again. It's going to be very rapid. Now, what should you do specifically? Well, honestly, look at the trends. I mean, there's so many different trends inside of CS investing, but most of them end up repeating themselves. We look at the Sticker 2 capsule because it's literally showing that trends repeat themselves every single time there's a hype. We can focus in on here and what happened last year where we saw an unnecessary hype and then the prices stagnated for a significant amount of time. We can focus in on how CS2 released and then we saw the prices stagnate for a significant amount of time. I think it's going to be a very interesting area for you to look into, and it's also a very important area because it shows you exactly for what item specifically you want to invest into, what the future you can expect from that specific investment. Now, one of the worst things I think you can do right now is making an investment into something you wouldn't do just because of the short-term growth of that item. A lot of items right now are in a state of limbo. We don't know exactly what they're going to do, but the good investments are going to prosper. But right now, there's an opportunity for a lot of bad investments to go ahead and see some short-term growth just because the overall market right now is not in a great position. Don't make an investment decision based off short-term growth, especially for an item you wouldn't invest to anyways. But that's all I got. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great rest of your day.